What's going on, world? It's your boy Big Rich.
Kevin Harris.
Welcome back to another fantastic, wonderful, amazing episode of the Southern Comfort Podcast.
That's right.
Bro, I realized I didn't even say the title of the podcast.
Last
damn.
time.
Yeah.
Well, and then it's getting hard to count. I don't know what episode it is.
Well,
They know. It'll all be nice and pretty though when
That's
they go
right.
to download it or watch it on YouTube because we're on YouTube now.
that's right. At Maroon Bison is the channel.
Yep.
If you want to see what Kevin and I look like,
You ain't missing much, but
right? We just-
sure, we'd love to have the views.
Plus, we married, so basically.
Don't tell them that's when they want you more. Don't say that.
I mean, they can't tell by the rings on our fingers. It was just,
Bling bling. I got an upgrade ring. I got an upgrade ring before my wife did. Can you believe that? That somehow I finagled that, but I did.
I think when I look at mine, I look at hers. I'm like, wah, wah. I'm like,
Mine was like a complete afterthought. My wedding ring definitely came from like Macy's. I think it was like $110.
were you not happy with it, or you just
I
looked
didn't
at it?
care.
And so why'd you get upgrade? Because you cared.
No, because I liked it. At the time, the type of ring I wanted, there was not money in the budget, in the wedding budget for that. I was just like, because we almost forgot to get me a ring. It was like a last minute thought, like, oh, Kevin needs a ring. So, yeah, I kind of went back and got something a little bit closer to what I wanted originally.
The same,
Yeah.
right? It was a couple weeks before the wedding, and it was like, will it be here in time? I don't know. You didn't go? I was like,
Yeah. No.
I know who I'm marrying. You know. But now, again, when I look at it, well, did I ever tell you this? The morning after the wedding, I woke up and the ring was gone.
I remember this story. Yes.
I went into a panic.
Yeah.
I mean, I wake up far earlier than my wife does, and I searching around, grabbing my glasses, like, oh my God, where the fuck is this ring?
Yeah. Yep.
Looking all over the floor, like just could not find it. I was like, what the fuck? And pulled the pillow back, and there was like it was a loose tooth. Just
Yep. And you still don't know how it came off your finger.
I don't, because it was a little snug then. I mean, now, it comes right off. But yeah, I think I'm gonna upgrade. I know my wife did a surprise and had the inside engraved, but also had it coated maroon. So, maybe I'll get this and wear it around my neck or something.
I already know my wife is waiting till our 10-year, and that's when she gonna jack me up.
Probably.
Yeah, I know.
Probably.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. She's gonna charge me more if there's a kid, because she's gonna be like, and I had a baby, so you got to factor that into what I'm about to ask for.
She can ask.
As they say, asking ain't getting. But yeah, I definitely will be getting an ask.
What you working on? Anything special?
We got like a few. Yeah, it's that time of year. There's an election somewhere every month, every day. Somebody somewhere is running for something.
Jersey and Virginia got statewide coming up. Right?
Yeah.
They're the only off year.
Yeah, those are gonna be the big ones, and then most of the other races are like municipal races. But like I like doing the smaller races because I love the candidates that you meet, and they're stepping out there into like a lot of these local offices where you do need really, really, really good people, and you just meet all these just interesting folks that are wanting to really step out there and put themselves out there, and just helping them kind of put together their campaigns and stuff. It's a lot of fun. You get closer to a lot of the purity and the honestness of what kind of draws you into this, but then the higher up you go, there's a higher threshold of bullshit.
I remember in New York us talking. I don't know if this was if we recorded it, but I was asking you, or something along the lines of, you don't really seek out and get people to run. You're more,
No, yeah.
yeah.
We kind of just end up being linked. However, we end
Yeah.
up being linked. In one race that I feel really good about is in Concord, Massachusetts. We got a guy running for school board. Real good guy, former neurosurgeon, and we win that race. He will be the first. My understanding, he'll be the first African American elected to anything, because like Concord, Massachusetts, is like 98% white.
Is that correlation to Boston? Is it southwest, west?
I think it's a little north, like northeast. It's barely. It's right outside of Boston. It's not even like an hour outside of Boston.
You know what? That may sound familiar. So I used to, when I would have to go to New Hampshire, instead of flying into New Hampshire, I would fly into Boston because it made no sense. I was like, I'm from Atlanta. We fly Delta.
Yeah.
And to get to the airport in Manch Vegas or Concord, you had to do a layover in Detroit. And I was like, I'm not going to do
goofy. Yeah.
an hour and a half layover in Detroit when I can just drive from Boston for 45 minutes to an hour depending on when I come in.
No.
Plus, the rental cars are better out of Boston.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Because while I'm up there, I have to do something in New Hampshire, too. So it's kind of the same mindset. I'm like, I just fly into Boston.
Great drive. Great thing about New Hampshire is their motto is live free or die.
Yes.
Which means you don't have to wear a seatbelt.
Well, they are a little bit like Florida to me, and probably Texas. But that to me, like I like to say about Florida, is like the law is a suggestion. You don't have to do it. It's suggested that you drive 50, but if you want to go 80, whatever, live free.
Yeah.
Go for it.
New Hampshire this time of year is gorgeous. It's gorgeous.
I want to make it to
White Mountains,
Vermont.
Oh, even better.
Because we are country boys and we talk about it, and we like to be, outside. And I don't know, when I became this person, I go out looking at birds and walking in nature, and I like to go out. I don't ski, but I look at the people skiing, and I do other stuff on the mountains. But I like fly fishing. Well, I think I remember during COVID when we moved out of DC, that was a big part of it. It was starting to mess with me because I needed to be outside.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things I love about Florida is it's just an outside state. You can be outside a lot.
I mean, the person you were at 20 is definitely not the person you are at 40, right? Politically, your views have changed?
I would say politically, I'm definitely more conservative. And that's what's funny. I think as you get old and you start paying for things, you become more conservative.
Right.
It's all.
You take on responsibilities, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that begs the question about, who's leading the front now, this younger crowd. Like, they are fighting for environmental issues and, the right to be respected in the workplace. That's funny.
Yeah.
Respect. But I don't know. I definitely feel you on the need to be with nature, right? Like, my wife is 10 years younger than me. She likes to, live more in the city, just have that. But I want a yard. I want to cut grass. I want to plant my gardens. I want to grow.
Yeah.
I want some chickens.
Yeah. Like John Lewis. You going to talk to him? Like
talk to the chickens.
Yeah.
I would go out and talk to the chickens. And I would tell the chickens, be chickens. Tastes good. He used to love that story. But no, man. So, hopefully we'll get there. But I feel you on the need to invest more in like local races and local candidates. So I finally decided to get back in the game in some form or fashion, but you know, we're pretty much getting ready to launch the C3 organization, GRITS,
Nice.
which stands for Grassroots Incubator to the South. It's something that Richard Merritt and I were always, that was our team name, and we, you know, were state directors for Organizing for Action, which pushed the White House policies. But, you know, this is going to be, you hear about, you know, places like Emerge or Arena or Wellstone, you know.
Emily's List.
They have their certain brand of a candidate training platform. And it's either an academy or institute. And I think we went with Incubator because one of the things is mission is a real true hands-on approach that kind of walks the candidate from beginning to end, right? Like, and we want to help shape you, mold you, right? In-person trainings. So this is going to be it's a campaign incubator. So it's not just for first-time candidates. It's for first-time candidates, entry-level, and junior-level political operatives. So if you want to be an organizer, be fundraising, you know, comms. If you want to learn advance, for folks who don't know, when you go out to these big rallies and when you go to events, right, there's a team that you send out prior to called the advance team. And they're basically letting you know this is the best angle for the shot. They do a site visit, let you know this is the best place to hold it. We visited here, what it looks like. And so that they're the ones that kind of put all that together. And so, you know, nowadays everything is about a political performance, right? And so political theater, and ensuring the look looks right. So, you know, when it's going to social media, everything looks like it was well thought out and put together. And so we're getting ready to launch that, and it's dedicated to the South. Again, downfall with the national party, and even statewide parties. They don't really invest in a real culture, you know, building up development. And so hopefully, you know, Richard Merritt and I and some others, you know, former colleagues and, you know, I call them my little trinkets that I've gathered along the way, College Anthony, Mary Lou, Maria. We're going to, you know, work together again and try to get some things going. So,
and it's needed because we need, you know, there's been a lot of a focus on the messaging, right? That is a big thing. That's important, but infrastructure is also important, particularly in these southern states. And those local races are how we build infrastructure. Is how we test infrastructure too. And that's also how you build your pipeline, right? You know, Barack Obama was a state senator first.
He was a community organizer.
He was a community organizer first. That's right, and then a state senator, then a U.S. senator. But you know, his first office was local. And when you look at a lot of the stuff that really impacts people, it all impacts people. But you know, a lot of the stuff like your day to day, it is local elected officials. And even in my career, you know, my favorite jobs is working for mayors, because they can just, you know, a lot of times they can just do stuff, and they don't have the luxury. I think it's the hardest job in politics is to be a big city mayor.
And you know, one of the reasons why we are where we are now is because of opportunity that we had in school, right? So
I mean,
when you think about it, hopefully, you know, I'm going to find the next us's, right? Hopefully, you know, black men of color, who want to, you know, cut their teeth in politics, campaigns, right? Like, you can learn a lot. Listen, you always say this, and I always say it. When you work a campaign, it's basically it's easy transferable skills to a lot of what you do out there, whether you work in the stock market and boardrooms, on, you know, in any industry, you know, hospitality, especially hospitality. You
customer service,
anything,
marketing, lobbying.
You learn it.
All of it.
You know, lobby. Yes, you learn it. You can learn it on the campaigns. You know, it's just a quick, fast startup.
Yep.
So
Yep. And that, like I said, that training is neat. I mean, that's how I got my start. Mine was Obama. He had a political management training program, and I applied for it and got into it right after I graduated at Howard. And you know, they train you on everything you needed to know to run a campaign. They help you get your first job. But what they did was it connected me to his network, right? The people that trained me are the people that ended up being David Plouffe, you know, Anita Dunn, Robert Gibbs. And, you know, to your point about like our colleges and our schools helping with that, you know, that chance opportunity, that's a big part of the reason why I wanted to go to a school like Howard, because stuff like that was just readily available on campus, right? You just had to want to have the hustle to do something with it.
Right. So speaking of Howard and being a black man with a degree, there was a New York Times article. First, I caught wind of this scrolling through IG. Guy Toure, I think that's how you say his name, right?
Yeah.
Toure, like Toure.
Yeah, well, in the South they would call him Tory. That's Tory.
He talked about the low rate of black men going to college.
Yeah.
And he called Howard out.
Yeah.
He couldn't call my school out because we're the school of black men. So, I mean, but he called Howard out. And I got some stats right here. At Howard University, merely 19% of students are black men. This is actually according to the Howard enrollment data of 2025. And then there was also, I guess he had also referenced a New York Times article. But, you know, I thought it would be interesting for us to talk about why it seems there is a low rate of black men going to college. You know, and I think one of the interesting things I kind of point to, and we talk to, black men are, in terms of the political ideology, they're not, you know, considered liberal. They're not considered conservative. They're what? Pragmatists.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, I see a problem, I see an issue, I need to address it right then and there.
Yeah.
Right? It needs to get done. And so in this sense, you know, for most black men, it's really about earning a paycheck and providing, right? And when they look at college, this was even for me. I saw the price tag, and was like, damn, you know, or was I equipped for college?
Yeah. Did you feel like prepared?
Did I feel prepared? Did I feel like that was something I could do?
Yeah.
Right, like go out there 4 years out there on my own, or 5 years, or you know, like it was said you need to go to college. You need to get a good job, right? You can't get a good job unless you go to college. But like, did people really sit you down and just tell you like what was the importance about an education, other than, you know, the normal?
I mean, for me, yes, I joke about it. Like I didn't know that you could not go to college, which is ironic because I saw people in my family who were, you know, working. I had uncles and stuff who did not, and were raising families and everything else. But it was drilled into me like at a very early age that you were going to college. And then a number of the people in my family are HBCU grads, right? Like my mom's an HBCU grad.
Where'd she go?
She went to Alabama A&M. And you know, I got some folks in Tennessee State, so it goes through the generations in my family of HBCU grads. And so, you know, even when it was time to consider colleges, HBCUs have to at least be in consideration for where you might want to go. And, you know, my mom was so serious about me going, you know, I was maybe 16 or 17. I started taking transfer credits at community college. And I think that kind of helped some with like me feeling prepared, like once I got there. But it was always just kind of understood that I was gonna go to college, and you just didn't question it, like you're going.
Yeah.
Um, and and when I was at Howard, this was 20 years ago, there were definitely more women than men there, but the disparities were not this stark. And I think that we have seen a decline at Howard and then other institutions as well of just a lack of enrollment among black men. I think that corresponds sadly with a rise in incarceration or involvement with the criminal justice system that kind of disrupts you from kind of being on that pipeline to go to college. And I think, I think a lot of that is well treaded ground. But I think the aspect of it too that should get talked about more is we talk a lot on the show about institutions and how people look to other places, other sources, consider alternatives when traditional institutions they feel like are not being responsive to their needs. And you have to look at college in general. You have to look specifically at HBCUs, given our mission of who it is we're supposed to be working to educate. And you have to ask the question of like, are there some things we need to rethink? Because clearly there's some loss of faith that has happened in those institutions and their ability to meet the needs that people have today. And a big part of that need that they have today is economics. And I think people look at cost of college as one thing, and I think that they see I think that they don't necessarily see it as the most efficient route for economic mobility and opportunity. And like, and I get some of that because, I talk to people. I mean, I say this all the time. It's true. Like, I have my bachelor's degree. I have a master's degree. Probably gonna go back and get another one. But I worked for a lot of years before I made more money than a plumber. And so you start asking questions about, I mean, did I really need all that education? Because, like, especially like in Florida, the HVAC man is paid.
But listen.
Paid. And don't have none of the student loans.
And you're going to pay it too.
Yeah. Have to. In Florida, they stay at my house, right? And he don't have none of my student loans or anything. And so, I think that's part of the reason why we don't see as much representation. I think there's a disconnect.
How much is Howard a year?
I don't know what it is now. I would imagine probably, if I had to guess, a year now. I mean, probably at least 50.
So
I would guess. I don't want to misspeak.
Okay,
but probably.
It ain't cheap.
Let me see. I mean, we have devices here now. We can.
It's not cheap. So you mean to tell?
Let me see here.
You mean to tell a young man, a young woman, hey, spend $50,000 a year, and that's just what we got. That's just.
Well,
tuition, room and board.
Yeah, estimated costs of attendance right now is $54,000 a year.
Is that including 3 square meals a day?
Yeah, but see, well, I'm getting conflicting things, right? So it says estimated cost of attendance for undergrad is $54,000, but then there's another thing that says the cost of a 4-year degree at Howard University is around $138,000. So it looks like it's about a little, maybe 35,000 a year. That sounds about right.
A kid's dream is to go to Howard. Mm-hmm. His parents are middle class. They didn't go to school. They making minimum 40,000 collectively, maybe less than 100,000, anywhere between 80 to, let's say, conservatively 110,000. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And they see that, and he didn't do what he was supposed to do and get a scholarship. doesn't play a sport. He or she doesn't play a sport. And so, they're supposed to shell out upwards because they got to get along.
You do. You got the interest.
So let's say upwards of 230,000, 40,000, maybe even more.
Maybe even more. And I just looked it up too. More houses. You guys cost about the same as us now.
Listen. What do you say to that child? No, you can't go. You better pick a community college.
Well, it was, it was definitely a topic of discussion, in my family, when I said I wanted to go to Howard, right? And even, basically it came down to two schools for me. It was either Columbia or Howard. But part of the challenge with Columbia was that I knew no matter what my mother was saying that there was no way in hell we were going to be able to afford Columbia. But somehow we could slap it together and I could go to Howard. And I remember, I had uncles and stuff at the time that were just like, how you going to pay for Howard? That boy, he should go to Miles. And Miles is like another HBCU that was closer to home. And would be
gorgeous campus.
Would be a lot more affordable in Fairfield, Alabama. But I really wanted to go to Howard, and it was a family affair, right? My mom went into hustle mode, and she got extra jobs at the casino. She got an extra job at Target. She was at Banana Republic at one point to help me out with Howard. One of my uncles, he had another part-time job. He was helping me out. And then I had my aunts, like my Aunt Jack and my Aunt Laverne. They would just send me stuff, just send me money, help me pay for things. I mean, I remember moving into my dorm, all my stuff. When I moved into my dorm, my Aunt Jack bought it. She came down from Detroit and took me like shopping and bought all the stuff for my dorm, my microwave, like everything, bro. Bought all of it, right? And then you had people have heard me talk about, Judge Cook, his first campaign I ever did. And he was a member of my church, right? He was a Howard alum as well, and just loved that I was there. He and his wife would give me stuff, and part of the reason I started at community college was because of the transfer credits. I got a scholarship there. Those credits were free, so that means I didn't have to pay Howard for it.
And it's funny because growing up, and I don't know if it's still the case now. I mean, we're fortunate enough not have any kids. I mean, we have nieces and nephews, and I'm the only
kid, but I got my friends' kids. I claim them.
Yeah. And then Jill has siblings that have
she does
kids.
Yeah,
right?
Jill does have nieces and nephews.
What's my one girl?
That you met?
Yeah.
Hannah.
Mm-hmm. She went to
Xavier.
Yeah. But like them growing up, like you were made fun of if you were a smart kid.
You were, but I used to read Newsweek and stuff in class, and people were just like nerd.
If you were a nerd, right?
Yeah, I was considered a nerd.
And the popular girls or the pretty girls didn't go for nerds; they went for the bad boy, the athlete, right? And so and even in our culture, it's the person that is respected the most in the hood is the drug dealer or the shady business.
Shady business.
Right?
Right.
But again, we glorified, a certain thing.
Yeah.
They're more willing to put money on your books when you're in jail than put money for your books.
Yeah, and I just think that I feel like also like the whole putting money away for college or accessing college, I think it's still like relatively new, right, for us, right? Like, because at the same time I was being told that I was going to go to college, I didn't have a choice. There was no college fund, to my surprise.
Right.
When it got time to go to college, and y'all been telling me this, I was shocked to find out there was no money. I assumed that we didn't have a lot of money, but y'all telling me I'm gonna go, so clearly somebody got some money. No, so we had to just figure that out. And then obviously I worked myself while I was in college, but like the sort of tradition within our families of I don't think we've had a long period of time to really do that and develop that, right? Like most of my uncles did not go to college, right? And their kids did. We went on to, go to college and get master's degrees and things like that. But then now you have a situation where my cousins that went to college, they looking at their kids like, well, not so much I don't know what you're going to do, but like, I don't know if you need to go. Because again, HVAC pay a lot of money. Well, are you sure you need that degree? And so the economics changed on us too. So, I think all of that feeds into like why you see this that lack of representation with black men.
And I wondered, what the article didn't talk about, and is the enrollment for black men in trade schools, and what does that look like, right? Like.
Well, and how much of it is still there? Right. How much of it is still around? Because my thing is, we've done work on lots of different policies all around the country, but one of the things that I would like to see is I think everybody that graduates high school should graduate with the trade. It don't mean that has to be your career, necessarily, but everybody that graduates high school should graduate with a skill of some sort that they can go and get a job and make some money. And like you think about, like I keep saying, HVAC and stuff like that. Why can't you start kids working on that and practicing on that and playing with that at 15, 16, and they graduate with a trade, with a certification, right? Like I was in high school and getting, college credit at the same time. Why these kids can't be in high school and getting an HVAC certification at the same time?
So, no skill having ass, what trade
would I have done? Yeah. So nothing with wood shop because I almost cut my hand off. Oh. That was a rough day at high school, but I survived. Mr. Morgan, he saved me because I heard nothing. My hand just going to the bar. We got the little ear things on. Whole hand about to be chopped off, and all of a sudden, Mr. Morgan. Came in and grabbed my hand.
It was so much he wasn't concerned about your hand. It was his job. He's like, I gotta put my kids through college.
I know, bro, but I was about to lose a limb, so it wasn't gonna be shop class.
How am I explaining this to your mama?
I did take auto mechanic. I sucked at that. I probably made, I sucked.
That was never offered.
That was, so I had that. I had auto mechanic, and then we had like computer science classes. I did good in computer sciences, and mostly now what I work with is computers. But like I'm not even. I joke about it all the time. I'm not like a handy husband. Like my wife is the handyman. Like in our house, like I don't know how to put anything together or fix anything.
You don't put shit together?
Not only do I not put it together, first of all, I'm aggravated. I don't believe I should have to pay for it and go put it together. Bruh. I think that, I don't know, something should happen, but I understand why if I pay for it and it's together on the box, why when I open the box it's pieces. Wow. And I'm expected to construct this shit. I think that's ridiculous. Like you looking at me like I'm ridiculous. It's ridiculous to expect me to put this shit together. That's crazy. Who gonna do that? That's wild. It needs to come into the house intact, or somebody else gonna have to do it. Wow. Or shit. How about we just won't have one?
When y'all buy, like, let's say a dresser, how long is it sitting in the box before Jill puts it together?
However long she feels like it's sitting there until she's ready to put it together. Wow. I ain't finna do it. I don't, and it's in the best interest of our family that I don't put it together. So it works for us.
So you won't be putting the crib together, or will y'all do it together?
Well, see, don't say that because then you'll think that we have some announcement to make that we don't have to make. We are not expecting.
Oh, yes.
We're not expecting.
So let's assume
Uh-huh.
if you guys were to expect one day, would you be putting the crib together? It's probably for the safety of the baby.
No, probably our neighbor Vic would be putting the crib together because I'm not gonna let Jill do that pregnant, and then again, I'm not gonna let a baby sleep in something that I put together. So we're gonna go get my homie Vic, and Vic is gonna come put that crib together, and he's gonna do a solid job. Solid job. Vic is very handy.
See, O is different, right? Like she bought a sofa that needed to be put together, and I woke up one morning. This was when she first moved here, so we weren't really living together, but I was staying there at the time. And I woke up one morning, and I decided to put the sofa together for her. Primarily because I wanted somewhere to sit. And when I was putting that thing together, man, that thing was so small and so short. I was like, why she buy this? You don't buy furniture off online without looking at it.
Right.
But she got mad at me because she like I wanted to help. I could have put it together. So I decided to, next time something was
You got it.
And sure enough, I mean, the girl, she gets frustrated doing it together. Well, she put it together, but she'll put it together.
She put it, yeah.
And it's sturdy. So, listen, it's nothing like completing a project.
Let me tell you this. This will very much define our household. Our tools are pink because my wife likes pink.
as well as everything in the house.
The toolkit, brother. She found a pink toolkit, and that's what she uses to do stuff.
And I'm sure she went searching for it.
Probably, yeah. Anything she looks for, she starts with pink, and then goes from there.
Yes, listen. I know. I've seen firsthand.
Yes,
it's like a pink Starburst pack when you walk in the house. But back to why brothers aren't going to school. And it's funny, when Donald Trump first got elected, the first term, there was an increase in applications
to HBCUs.
Yeah, I think it's also a surge now, right? Like it will be a surge now, particularly because a lot of your regular PWIs are cutting DEI programs.
Y'all can't come, y'all. That's DEI.
Right.
Can't have black folks here.
Right.
That's DEI.
So I wonder what this will mean for. Will Trump have the Trump effect? Will it be a positive effect on HBCUs? Will alumni give more to black colleges because, right? Will they hand out more scholarships? Will the athletic programs get better at it? I've never really understood why, we couldn't do better at recruiting and paying, to get better athletes, 5-star, 4-star, at least 4-star or 3-star athletes to come. Because the HBCU,
they trying to get to the league, and that's not, it's like the chicken or the egg, right? Like they're trying to get to the league. The league don't look at you in those schools, but it's like, but if y'all came and played for those schools, then the league would look at you.
No choice.
And they like, well, I ain't trying to risk it, so I'm gonna go on over to the UGA.
Yeah. Well, we're going to see what impact Trump's and his dastardly ways have on college enrollment for HBCUs. But I'm looking at some statistics here, and it's interesting. They only refer to Howard, and I wanted to see just generally what it meant for.
I think it's probably because ours is so stark, man. Like 19% that's aggressive. That's aggressively low.
But I remember there was a time where Clark Atlanta had a really low male enrollment, right? I think I think they didn't really give the number. I think they said the ratio was almost 4 or 5 to 1.
Well, that would be 19%,
right? But for us at Morehouse, that was the ratio was like 12, 13 to 1, right? It's just
I think for y'all. For Morehouse, I guess you'd have to look at what the raw enrollment number is. y'all might have used to, I'm just making up numbers, y'all might have used to have classes at 700 kids. Now it's like 250, and you're like, whoa, where that 500 go? Because the data would suggest they didn't go to other schools. So,
well, I mean, it's interesting. Like, your major was journalism.
Journalism and poli-sci. Mm-hmm.
So how many black men were in journalism classes with you?
A decent amount.
Decent amount?
Mm-hmm. While I was there, and some of the best ones were there. And some of the folks from my class that are actually like doing well and are newscasters and stuff around the country, good chunk of them are male. I worked on the newspaper. That staff, I want to say, was more female. And even in my poli-sci class, it was a decent, a decent mix. And like I said, it was 20 years ago when I was there. It was definitely not 19%, but it was more women. And I do remember at the time them saying, it takes the guys longer to graduate. And I remember, my first semester there, Howard put me on academic probation. And it was basically like you have one semester to get your life together, and or you're probably gonna get sent home. And and it wasn't like I was doing nothing. I wasn't partying really, or anything like that. I think I was struggling to adjust to the coursework. So like my first semester was like trash, bro. I had like a 2.6. It was bad.
Do you think that was because you were coming from a southern school system, or do you?
I think it was definitely because I was coming from a southern school system, and I went to the good school. I went to the good public school, but how about this? We didn't even have a high school counselor. We didn't have a counselor. Like your family, if your family wasn't helping you figure out college
applications,
stuff, then it wasn't gonna happen. And then I had the added help. Part of why it worked out for me is I at least had people around me who had gone to college and were familiar with the process. Right? Some of these kids are coming from situations where mama, daddy can't help you because they didn't go. They don't know.
Or they don't know
about FAFSA and all this stuff. So that y'all just trying to figure it out together, right? So I think all of that played a role in it. But the crazy thing about it, you would have thought I would have did better because I was taking credit. I was taking college courses already, but Howard was they was on you. Like it was a different level of work than what I was accustomed to. And so like it I mean, these professors, like usually it's like you get a test or you get a paper, right? One of them. Howard was like, nah, bro, it's both. So you're gonna turn your paper in, then you're gonna sit down and take the test. So like for one class, you might have a 30, 35 page paper due, and then there's gonna be a test that's like 50 or 60 multiple choice questions plus essays. Now, times that by like 3.
Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah.
You exhausted.
I try to block out as much of the academia side of college. No, I mean, again, I came in on academic probation. Mm-hmm. I actually left college on academic probation.
Boy, self true to this life. Like,
right. I entered the workplace on academic probation.
But I remember when I graduated Howard, my GPA was pretty good. I graduated with like a 3.4, and I remember applying for grad school at Johns Hopkins. And even in my essay, like I'm saying, if you just count the courses that are relevant to this program, my GPA is actually a 3.9. Don't look at that other stuff.
Listen, I credit my internship, my last year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah.
I credit, mind you, I did it took me a while to come out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one again, I dropped an entire semester.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to go into the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
I started working for the affiliates.
Yeah.
DJ
yeah.
Drama, Canon, Sense.
Yeah.
So when you were listening to the Can't Ban the Snowman, by Jeezy or T.I. The Leak or Lil Wayne's dedications, I was responsible for packing those up and shipping those out for the affiliates.
Wow.
Or going to like, you know, sets they're doing, just working in the shop with them. And sure enough, you know, I went and talked to Dr. Hodge. I always credit him. He got me back on the right track. He was like, "Yo ass done dropped these classes. What you doing? What you doing?" And I remember him saying to me, he said, "If I could promise you a scholarship to Georgia State right now, would you pick Georgia State or would you want to stay here at Morehouse?" He's like, "Think about it." And I was like, "I don't need to think about it. I want to stay here." He was like, "Then
get your shit
together." Right? But you know, I know y'all heard the beep and that's our time, but I'm gonna run through some numbers for you. According to the American Institute for Boys and Men, black men account for only 26% of HBCU students. This is down from 38% in 1976.
So it was never high.
Right?
Yeah, it was never high.
Of course, we talked about how University of Maryland, 19% of students are black men. The South, because this is the Southern Comfort Podcast, has the lowest black male college enrollment rate at 33% compared to other regions. Get this, no other region surpasses 38%, right? The Northeast, 38%, Northwest, the West, 37%, Midwest, 36%. The national average is 35%. Again, the South, 89% of all HBCUs are located in the South, according to the Department of Education. The South has the highest black population concentration, yet the lowest black male college participation, according to the census.
Right.
You know, the South shows the highest incarceration rates for black men, 2,400 per 100,000.
I told you, and people, it's a sad fact, but people say in college campus, where are the black men? And it's not an exaggeration. Like, they're in jail, or they are criminally justice involved. And it took them off of a path to go to college. You compound that with affordability and also the lack of immediacy in terms of what the economic returns are. Like, college will cost you more first. You'll get the cost of college first before it makes you your money back, right? You add all of that up, you know, and it's not surprising, right, that you see this. And then you got to also look at like the family support too. You talking about, like, you know, like I was saying earlier, like, we haven't had that long to really get that good at kind of building up these generational, we go to college, right? Okay, at the height of it, it was just 38% of black men there. So the majority of us were raising kids in households where we didn't go to college ourselves.
Just 60 years ago.
Right. So, you know, I think all of that, but what the ramifications of that is, like, that means you're going to see fewer black male teachers, fewer black male doctors, fewer black male everything.
I mean, even with the proposed elimination of Department of Education, that's going to eliminate those grants and those programs.
Oh, sure.
Where you're gonna you will see a decrease in black male teachers.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. It was already low to begin with.
And there's any number of studies that talk about the positive impact that has in disrupting some of the pipelines that we just talked about, that not only just steer people away from college, but unfortunately steers them into becoming involved with the criminal justice system. So, you know, it is not a laughing matter, and I think that we really have to obviously reevaluate, like, all of this. Like, for example, some of our elite prestigious institutions like Howard and like Morehouse, like, do we need to do a better job of meeting black men where they are, right? Is the purpose of college and education to just get you a degree, or is the purpose, to me, the purpose of college and an education, for me, first and foremost, is to ensure that you have economic mobility. And so maybe universities like Howard and Morehouse, maybe we should get more involved in providing other pathways for economic mobility that are not tied to a 4-year degree, right? Like, why can't you take your, I'm just making stuff up, but I think it should be explored. Like, right, why can't you say, hey, man, where'd you get your HVAC certification? Oh, I got certified at Morehouse. I mean, why not? I mean, in the university, does that change what the university does a little bit? It does, but it doesn't get away from what the core mission is. And also, it is a stream of revenue because they're not coming to college. You're not getting the money anyway. So why can't you get that revenue back, teaching them how to do HVAC or autos, and then, and mix in a little entrepreneurship certificate or something like that. Like, you could be helping to incubate black businesses.
And associates?
Could be.
Yeah.
Could be just certifications. I mean, why not?
The goal, and it was always said, you go to an HBCU for an education and not a degree. Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So, again.
I mean, Howard don't even say what your degree in.
It doesn't?
No, you just get a degree and say you went to Howard. So I tell people I'm a chemist, a physicist. What you gonna do? How you gonna prove that I ain't? That ain't what my degree is. You look at my degree and just say I went there. It don't say what it's in. I might tell people I'm anything.
Wow.
Does Morehouse actually print out what you got your degree in?
I believe so.
Yeah, Howard just say you went, you graduated, we attest.
So what did he say he got his degree in? Take that?
We don't know him.
Oh.
Who? Who?
It's time for the Mambo. Who you gonna give it to?
I don't know. Shit. I mean, maybe the 19% that's hanging on strong. I don't know, man. I don't know. Or maybe to the black women that's still pushing through and still going through and getting their degrees and their education. But I guess honestly though, what I would give it to is all of the people, like you cited some studies and some research. I would give the Mumble Award to all of the people who are thinking critically about this and trying to figure it out and trying to understand what's actually happening. What are the root causes and what needs to change? Because the long-term ramifications of this is not just that it's bigger than they're not going to college, right? You have a huge population that is not being prepared and trained for economic mobility. And that means every issue that we have as a community will be exacerbated. You know what I mean? And so it is not a small thing to have that many black men in jail instead of learning a skill or a trade or something to go out and contribute to the economy and help build strong families, right? And so it's complicated, but institutions like Morehouse and Howard exist. This is the kind of stuff we're supposed to be putting our brain power into to figure out. And I think a part of this is we got to reassess what that means, as graduates, right? Being in that talented 10th, right? What are we doing to help make it better? And then also, like, maybe our universities have to be repositioned too, because there's clearly a need. And as we have learned so many times in the past and so many issues, right? Ain't nobody else coming to save us but us. Right. And so if it can't be figured out with all these scholars and superstars that we got that went to the Morehouses and Howards, then who else gonna figure it out? So I give it to the folks, doing the work.
I actually got a name. You're gonna laugh when I say this name.
Let's see.
I'm actually proud of this young man. So if and when he hears this, He gonna be like, I appreciate you, man.
Ebenezer.
Ebenezer
I
Avalorian.
knew it was gonna be Ebenezer. Now, why the hell are we giving Ebenezer a Mumbo Award?
Cause he just tries. He tries so damn hard. No, Ebenezer is not one of it. I guess he still is, like a little brother.
Depends on the week.
A little protege mentee.
Mm-hmm.
It's right. Depends on the week if I'm not trashing his behind.
Mm-hmm.
But he is the chief of staff and interim executive director. He's the chief of staff for the Georgia House Minority Leader at the state legislature, Representative Carolyn Hughley, and he is also interim executive director for the Georgia House Caucus. And ever since I met him, he's always worked at the legislature, and it means a lot to him. He fights, he goes up there, he puts on his uniform, his suit, and he
has a uniform for his other job.
Right. And he battles, and he doesn't always get it right, but the guy is very relentless
and smart,
and dedicated.
Super smart.
And he's always giving back and has a kind heart. He's also a new father.
Yes.
I think young Prince is probably.
I'm bad with baby ages. I'll be like, that baby.
Born in October, so.
Okay, so how old is his baby then actually? What's that, like 6 months?
4 months, 5 months?
Okay. Now, me,
6 months, I guess.
Had you not said that and asked me, this how bad I am with baby age, you'd be like, how old is El's baby? Oh, that baby about 1.
The boy got a head like
baby ain't 1. Well, his daddy, hereditary.
I mean, Nigerian. So to Eb, and the reason why I say this, he called me today, this morning, while I was at dialysis, and I didn't answer. And he sent me a text and was like, he sent me a text to somebody's number. And he's like, I need you to mentor him. And I'm like, no. And he played his case, and he was like, he's hungry, he's needed.
Yeah.
He's like, I need you to do for him what you did for me.
Yeah, wow.
And I told him, I was like, you did all that on your own. And he really did. No, he didn't. But no, to Ebenezer Avalorian.
Yeah.
That's right, Avalorian.
I don't even attempt it.
So my Mumbo Award goes to you, brother. I'm proud of you. So with that being said, this is Big Rich.
Kevin Harris.
Southern Comfort Podcast. Appreciate y'all. Spread the word. Peace.
Peace.